Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Kauai County Council Roundup here at the Ho'ike studio. This is Mel Rapozo, your chair, and Vice Chair Kipukai Kualii.
Aloha.
We're going to recap yesterday's meeting, September 11th, at the Historic County Building. And we started off awesome. It was 9/11, a very somber day for many of us, or all of us. And we had Kahu Jade Wa'ale'ale Batad come in and do some words of wisdom. I thought that was fabulous.
Yeah, and she absolutely started off by saying, I can't come here before you on a 9/11 and not talk about 9/11. So she talked about Iniki from September 11th, 92, and about the 9/11 bombing of the World Trade Center and all of that. And with Iniki, one of the things I remember her saying is that there were people who came from Florida who were coming to help, and they said that when they came, they saw how the people were already working and helping each other, and going out with chainsaws and whatever, and that they were surprised by that people weren't just waiting for them to come and help, but they were already starting helping themselves. And it was all about aloha and how people help each other. What we know happens here.
Yeah, we kind of take it for granted, actually. And I think the message was how we all came together with those two events, Iniki obviously, and then the World Trade Center bombing. The entire country came together. It was awesome, and that we need to remember that and practice that more
Always
often. So,
people caring for each other.
yeah, great.
She did say another thing which is really interesting is she brought out all her tools and how she's now doing lauhala weaving. I think she called it ulana. And she showed her tools, and they were all basically tools that were made by hand too. And she was just talking about how now that she's gotten into it, she's so inspired and more connected to our kupuna, our ancestors. And she was just basically challenging everyone to find something to connect in that way too.
Yeah, you cannot buy those tools on Amazon.
No.
That was pretty classic. We had a couple of certificates. The first one was for the Hanale Initiative, recognizing Councilmember Bulasan introduced both certificates. The first one was the Hanale Initiative. Mr. Joel Guy was there, and they're doing great work out on the North Shore, and hopefully we can get them to expand that same model that they did out at K Beach to other really high traffic visitor areas that we want to make sure we keep for our locals as well.
And the certificate was specifically to recognize and congratulate them on their upcoming third annual picnic in the park, in the Waioli Town Park, which is actually happening this Saturday. But then it was also a chance for us to hear a little bit about the work of the Hanale Initiative, which they're doing incredible stuff. And Joel Guy did highlight too about their commitment to housing, and then basically bringing the community together, collaborative. All their efforts are community-led. And I asked him more specifically about housing because I knew a little bit about what they were doing. And he talked about how they're they acquired the old LDS site there in middle of Hanalei town, 3/4 acre, and that they're working on affordable and workforce housing for first responders, teachers, lifeguards, people that work in the area. So that's pretty exciting. And at the picnic, they're going to have a booth showing, teaching the community more about what's going on with that project.
And then we had a Turtle Ball certificate recognizing 58 years of this amazing event. It's put on by the Kauai Filipino Women's Club every year, and one that most elected officials go to. It's an amazing celebration of the culture, but also really showcases the Filipino attire, the terno and the barong Tagalog that the men use. So I will not be able to be there, but Kipukai, you've actually entered.
We get our barongs right. Have 1, 2, but so we even had a couple of ladies in the audience that was wearing their ternos as well. The cool thing I thought I heard them say was that the Kauai Filipino Women's Club was founded way back in 1955. And from the very beginning, a part of their mission was advancing educational pathways. So we go through this Turtle Ball, and it's a big event, probably the biggest event of the year. lots of money involved, lots of food involved, lots of culture and entertainment involved. It's a long night. But they do all of this and all that hard work to basically fundraise. And they're fundraising to give out scholarships. I think one of the ladies said way back when it was like her mother or her
Her
grandmother
grandma.
that started it all. And back then they just gave out like small scholarships, really insignificant
They would have tea
by
parties.
today's standards.
They would have tea parties. So all the women would come together and have these tea parties and collect a little bit of money and give out $20 scholarships. That was pretty cool.
And basically, I just thought, we thank them for, doing that investment in our young people with the scholarships, and so important to building our community.
Yeah, awesome program. After that, we got into our meeting, and there were a lot of trivial things, but the key points on the meeting, the first thing we had was approving a $25,000 grant for a donation of a mule, a Kawasaki mule for the fire department or for the lifeguards.
Yeah.
The Kauai
Mahalo
Lifeguard
to Kauai
Association.
Lifeguard Association.
They raise funds throughout the year, and they truly supplement and improve our lifeguard program here by donating trucks, jet skis, in this case a mule, which is that four-wheelers that can ride on the beach. So yeah, much mahalo to the Kauai Lifeguard Association for always supporting our
Always.
first responders.
We also had a small donation from State Farm Insurance, and that was a Fire Prevention Week kit.
Yeah, 100 of those kits they donated. So yeah, mahalo to State Farm as well. We had the county engineer, we had the wastewater chief, Donald Fujimoto, up to basically they were requesting $46,000. This is a somewhat emergency funds for a pump that needs to be replaced out at the Wailua treatment plant. And this pump actually pumps the effluent, the treated sewage to be used for irrigation at the golf course. But it was an opportunity for the council to discuss the department's plans
Yeah.
for expansion of the Wailua sewer treatment plant.
And not only an opportunity, but almost an obligation, because the majority of us council members, I think 5 of us, were at a community town hall on Monday night, put on by our 3 island state legislators, everyone, the 3 house representatives. And it was specifically about wastewater. And there was a huge turnout by community. And so it was a good chance for us to hear all the concerns about the community. The town hall was specifically focused on the cesspool and the cesspool conversion mandate coming up in 2050. And so, having heard all the constituents' concerns, it made us even more motivated to say, hey, we gotta, find out from wastewater, how's it going? Are we moving along? Are we doing what we need to do? And we kind of know the answer has been no. And Jer and others, myself too, has been pretty frustrated. But so there was actually a lot more discussion on this item because we had wastewater before us.
Yeah, and again, our meetings are aired on Hoike Channel 53. I would encourage you folks to tune in because I think the discussion was important. The discussion was very interesting because we know that by 2050, you need to convert your cesspool to a septic system. We also know that if you try to expand or build a house now, and if you have a cesspool, you gotta convert now. We know that the costs of a conversion to septic can be anywhere from $30,000 to $60,000 and even higher. So our concern on the council is we're going to be forcing our residents to go in and purchase a septic system. And let's say for me, it's 48 grand. And then the county will be coming in later with sewer and you're going to be asked to put out more money for the connection. So what we're asking the administration for is a plan, your sewer plan or a master plan for our island. And in this case, more specifically, the Wailua treatment plant, because it is failing. Mm-hmm. And we need to get that fixed. So there was a lot of discussion. There will be more discussion in 2 weeks at the committee meeting. I hope everyone can tune in. But it is a crisis situation that we gotta address. And we keep talking about expanding affordable housing and workforce housing, but at the end of the day, we gotta have the infrastructure in place to accommodate the expansion of homes. So we're trying to put the pressure on the administration to move quickly. And we hope that they will do it because time is of the essence.
So we need things like a sewerization plan. How are we going to deal with, expanding the sewer systems so that more people can connect, because this requirement by 2050 is coming. And obviously it's right now for people who are being held back from making necessary expansions to their homes because they have a cesspool. So those plans are desperately needed. A facility plan, if we're replacing the Lidgate facility with a new facility somewhere between Wailua and Lihue, we need to plan for that. The sad truth is the answers that we got so far was that none of that really has been started, and that the only plans that have been in place are business plans, if you will, and that they are basically just telling us how things are operating now. And we know for sure at Lidgate that it's not well, because they can't even operate at 100% because of the deterioration of the system. And then in Lihue, that ultimately the ability for additions, how much capacity they have, is just not enough, not nowhere near enough for all the new development that we hope can happen in the greater Lihue area, with hundreds, hopefully more, of affordable housing. And then just as an aside, we know too that the State Department of Hawaiian Homelands has recently acquired 300 acres of grow farm lands, Mauka of Walmart, if you will, Mauka of the old Immaculate Conception School, and that their plans is eventually to put in 1,000 homes there. So those homes are going to require water and wastewater, and so these upgrades is like critical for that. And then they provide an opportunity to us too, because not only are they putting in homes, but they're also awarding ag lots and farm lots and sustainable ag lots, which is like smaller ag lots that you can build a home on as well. And so with all their land in Wailua, I think they have 500 acres there. They could be both sides of the solution, right? I mean, you could have the new homes for housing, and then you could have the new farms for taking the reuse of the effluent from any future wastewater treatment plants. But everything's lining up, but we have to move to take advantage of it. And I think the wastewater manager told us, oh, it's like 10 years, but we said, well, we got to get started. And if we don't start this year, then it'll be 11 years, or next year, then it's 12 years. And we got to at least start with the plans. So we told them too, if money is needed to get these plans going, then come back to the council, because we'll help find the money. We got to get going.
Yeah, we during the last budget review, we did ask what funds they needed to move this quickly, and we were told they didn't need any funds. And ironically, yesterday they said that funds is an issue. So we will do what we can to move this along, because I think it's important. It's public health and safety, as well as allowing some development of much needed affordable and workforce housing. So
we did have another approval of our recurring monies that comes from the state, $700,000 to go to our elderly affairs, and this is for their continuation of their their programs like home delivered meals and preventive health programs and all of that. So caregiver support. So we're always happy to support that. I'm glad that the state keeps funding.
yeah, much needed support for our Kupuna Care, and we were informed by Kealoha Takahashi, the Elderly Affairs Director, that that was state funds that are coming in, but we are also expecting federal funds to ensure that there is no cutoff of the funding available for those Kupuna services. So they are actually serving our community in a great way.
We had a resolution that's establishing a 25-mile-per-hour speed limit on Kulana Place, stop signs on the Kulana Place and Old Hauiki Road, and then a left turn only lane. And that's the new subdivision that we were recently doing the deed restrictions on and all of that.
Yeah, the new old subdivision.
The new old, long time in coming.
For those of you that know about Kulana, it's come with a very colorful past, but it's finally turning around. It's the roads have been dedicated to the county. That resolution just authorizes the implementation or the construction of the signs. We also had our National State Association of Counties, our state association. We had a resolution to approve the board of directors, which the only one that involves Kauai is
I
vice
thank the
chair.
council for their continued support. I got appointed again to
Yeah,
the
so he is,
National
yeah,
Association of Counties Board.
he is a member of the board of directors, so Mr. Powerful guy here, so.
Nah.
We had a couple of bills that were deferred. We talked about this in the past. It was allowing an additional dwelling unit or guest house on ag lands, as well as the other zoned areas. But we were focusing on ag because there's a lot of generational properties here on Kauai that families own, and they're prohibited, up until this bill, they're prohibited from adding an additional guest unit or a guest house. So this bill, should it pass, will allow the construction of,
Well, this was first reading, so
Correct.
and then planning wasn't available, and there was some questions and stuff, but it can all be addressed when we work on it in the committee. And this bill is from Chair and Council Member Cowden, DeCosta,
yeah,
and all members seem supportive. Like we have to do stuff, but you know the initial comments were like,
again, adding inventory we have an inventory issue right now. We
Yeah.
just don't have homes for our local families. And we have so many families that's been around for generations on properties, more specifically up off of Kauai Road, up Kapahi, Lawai, Kalaheo, Omao, up in the homesteads that are these big ag parcels, and they're not allowed to have a guest house. And I just want to make the public completely clear that these guest houses are not for vacation rentals or short-term rentals. They are attached to the actual home that's on there now, so you cannot build this guest unit and then sell it. No, it goes with the house. So there's some safety nets in place that will prevent the use of this bill for investments or speculation. But again, as Mr. Kualii said, this is the first reading. It'll go to a public hearing on October 9th, and then it'll come back to us in the committee where we'll work on improving it and making it the best possible.
we
So,
did have, and I believe you addressed it also, Chair, testimony from a long-time activist. I think even she had state law advocated for, right? And that was Karen Diamond with regards to possibly asking for possible amendments to exempt parcels in the SMA, and then also clarifying that this wouldn't apply to conservation districts. So
yes, and
that may be stuff that we're working on as well.
yeah, I do plan to add those suggested amendments in, because I am in full agreement that if your home is in a SMA, special management area, which is prone to high waves, tsunami, or any natural
We don't want to add density in
coastal
those
issues, the last thing you want is to be able to add more density. So,
It's a safety issue too.
yeah, exactly right. And then our final bill was a second reading bill, which is the final vote, which now this bill, if the mayor signs it, will become law. And this is allowing the residents that rent their state leased properties from DLNR, and there's a few of them on Kauai, but because the state doesn't allow long-term leases, they do month-to-month leases. We had a county attorney opinion that they do not qualify for homeowner exemption or owner occupant exemption, which they had been receiving historically. They are long-term residents. They've been in these homes for a long, long time. But because of the technical language in the bill or in the law regarding owner occupant exemptions, they didn't qualify. So this basically allows them to, if they are long-term residents on the state leased lands, that they will qualify for the owner occupant exemption, which will help out a bunch of our families here on Kauai. And then we had the second bill for final reading, which was the refinance, the bond refinance bill, which basically was no new money, just refinancing our
To save us
existing debt
money.
to save us money because of the interest rates are dropping. So
Both bills in second reading passed on unanimously.
that was it. That was it.
Yeah.
It was a short agenda, somewhat took us to lunch, the meeting, but I gotta say, I just wanna really mahalo Jade for, Wale Ale Batad for starting us off with that words of wisdom. I think it made everybody think again how important it is to be together. and help each other. And I think that's kind of what I took away yesterday from the meeting. It was an awesome opening.
Absolutely. Mahalo. Kahu Jade Waiale Ale.
Kahuje. Again, you can watch these meetings on Hawaii Channel 53, or you can go to www.kauai.gov, hit the webcast meetings button, and you can watch any of our meetings on demand, Planning Commission or County Council meetings. I encourage you guys to all do that and stay informed. But Huike.org, check it out.
Mahalo.
Until
Huike.
then, until
Mahalo,
the next
Roger.
time.
Aloha.
Aloha.